So SpongeBob has always been a bit weird, right? Like the original show is just out there sometimes. Now, they don't really ever go to the extent of something like Ren and Stimpy, but just look at this stuff. Today we are gonna dive into SpongeBob's long history with horror. Hey! Now, of course, SpongeBob has explored horror elements ever since the beginning. Season 1 has 2 Halloween episodes where Scaredy Pants is just kind of a feel-good trick-or-treat episode with kind of disturbing imagery at the end where we see SpongeBob with his brain exposed. It's a great episode, but this stuff is kinda light compared to the other Season 1 Halloween episode, I Was a Teenage Gary, where we see SpongeBob take on body horror. After Squidward promises to take care of SpongeBob's pet snail Gary, while SpongeBob is away and then forgets to do the one thing he had to do, feed him, Gary gets super sick and the snail doctor comes and now Gary gotta have a shot. SpongeBob is SpongeBob, so he obviously can't do it, so Squidward gotta do it, and due to SpongeBob holding Gary and dodging him, it ends up with Squidward giving SpongeBob the shot instead by accident.
Gary, you're getting a lot faster. Look at me, never better.
Now the episode actually gets really creepy as SpongeBob transforms into a snail and then goes to meow at Squidward, who is rightfully terrified.
Meow, meow. None of this would be happening if I only fed that snail. Meow.
The last part of the episode has Sponge Snail invading Squidward's house, leading Squidward eventually also accidentally giving himself the shots. The last scene has all of the snails sitting and meowing at the fence that just spawned in for this episode, and Patrick throwing a shoe at Squidward.
Will you clam up?
As the seasons went on, the show just went further and further with more horror elements. Still not as far as the internet would go, but that's for another video. As much as I love the golden era of SpongeBob with the first 3 seasons, you really gotta go post-movie to find the really creepy stuff. But I will take every chance I can get to talk about pre-movie SpongeBob, so let's go through the few examples there are in seasons 2 and 3. Actually, there are none in 3. So it's just gonna be 2 season 2 episodes, and 2 really good ones. First we got Shanghai, arguably the best special of the whole show. In this episode, Squidward's house gets smashed by the Flying Dutchman's anchor and the 3 Conch Street neighbors going up to explore. Now, while I would like to talk about how this episode perfectly showcases the amazing comedic timing of the early seasons, it's the Fly of Despair that's the main attraction here. Not only is this detailed shot here just perfect, or multiple detailed shots I guess, because Squidward is falling with the backgrounds being beautifully painted. I never really paid that much attention to the monsters in there as a kid, but just pausing and looking at the faces, nah bro, this definitely gave some kids nightmares. I don't really have childhood trauma from this scene or anything, but I definitely have that from the other Scary Season 2 episode. Graveyard Shift is an amazing episode, in my opinion probably a top 5 episode of the whole show. This episode sees Mr. Krabs opening the Krusty Krab for 24 hours and adding a night shift that Squidward and SpongeBob have to work. SpongeBob of course annoys Squidward, which is hilarious.
I'm swabbing the bathroom. At night. Ow! I burned my hand! At night. Night, 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 night.
Eventually, SpongeBob starts getting scared of the dark, and this scene of him running to the dumpster and screaming is one of my favorites.
Piece of cake.
Squidward is now pissed, so he decides to make up a scary story about the hash-slinging slasher to scare SpongeBob.
And at his funeral, they fired him. So now, what day is it?
Tuesday?
Tuesday night, his ghost returns to the Krusty Krab.
This iconic story creeps out SpongeBob to the point where he can't stop screaming. Squidward very quickly gets annoyed again and tells him it was just a fake story to shut him up. This leads to SpongeBob laughing instead of screaming, which is just as annoying. Now something kind of interesting happens. The episode feels like it's about to end. After Squidward reveals the story wasn't true, music starts playing and it really feels like it's done here.
Oh.
But the episode has a whole second half, and it's there all the creepy stuff really come in. We cut to the outside of the Krusty Krab as it's now really the night shift. We get one of the best jokes of the whole show.
Open 24 hours a day. What a stupid idea. Who wants a Krabby Patty at 3 in the morning?
Oh boy, 3 a.m.
Patrick is just a goat. Now some weird stuff happens. All the things that Squidward mentioned in the hash-slinging slasher story, I'm pronouncing that super weird, it starts happening in like real life in the Krusty Krab.
What? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Nice try, Squidward.
Nice try what?
The phone will ring, and there'll be no one there.
Next, the bus pulls up, even though the buses don't run this late. Then the hash-slinging slasher starts walking towards the Krusty Krab. This of course creeps out Squidward.
The sash ringing! The flash singing! The bash pig!
SpongeBob though is a dumbass of course, so he still thinks this is Squidward playing a prank on him. But after Squidward explains to SpongeBob that he can't be dressed up as the hash-slinging slasher, since he is right there next to SpongeBob, SpongeBob freaks out as well.
SpongeBob, no matter what I've said, I've always sort of liked you.
Squidward, I used your clarinet to unclog my toilet.
Huh?
Get out of here!
Well, all is good here. It was just this kid who wanted to apply for a job and was being really weird about the whole thing. And owned his own bus, apparently. I mean, that was kind of a creepy episode. Not that bad though.
Then who was flickering the lights?
Nosferatu!
This terrified me as a kid. Still does. Nosferatu smiling is like one of those images that are just engraved into my head. I haven't watched the original movie, which just turned 100 years old by the way, but just the design of Nosferatu is amazing. Probably the scariest vampire I have ever seen. It definitely helps that I was jump scared by him in a SpongeBob episode when I was like 6 years old. Now we are gonna move into the post-movie era of SpongeBob. This is after the first SpongeBob movie and after SpongeBob's creator, Steven Hillenburg, RIP, left the show. As a proud SpongeBoomer, this is not my favorite era of SpongeBob, but for fans of creepy SpongeBob, really interesting. The first episode of this new era has horror elements already. Season 4 episode 1, Fear of the Krabby Patty, sees Mr. Krabs opening the Krusty Krab for 24 hours. Wait a minute. After a few days of working completely non-stop, SpongeBob rightfully starts going crazy.
What the flim-flam? What are you doing in here, boy? You're wasting all my food! Boy?
He starts being scared of Krabby Patties and having nightmares about them. The dream is actually kinda creepy.
Where am I?
Squidbob Tentacle Pants, also in Season 4, has the show's second attempt at body horror, with Sandy's science thing accidentally fusing SpongeBob and Squidward together. The ending is by far the most memorable part, actually horrifying. Ghost Host sees the return of the Flying Dutchman. Pretty much anytime he shows up in the show, it's gonna be a somewhat horror-inspired episode. Or just pirate, I guess. In Ghost Host, the Dutchman decides to haunt SpongeBob. Yeah, this is some of the most cursed imagery in the whole show. This episode is really interesting because the plot sees SpongeBob eventually growing numb to the Dutchman's scares and them just not working anymore. SpongeBob not being scared anymore makes the Dutchman become depressed, so now SpongeBob has to help him scare people to get back into it and get off SpongeBob's couch.
SpongeBob?
Once Bitten, I don't know if this one classifies as horror, really. I mean, the whole thing is a zombie parody with Gary biting people and Patrick making everyone think they are infected. I guess it belongs on here, but it's not creepy or anything. The same goes for Season 5's Fungus Among Us. Laugh. It's kind of a similar zombie affection plot, where SpongeBob gets contaminated by a fungus virus and then has to be quarantined before being broken out by Patrick and then spreading the fungus to everyone else. Mermaid Man vs SpongeBob, also Season 5. There is mind control, I guess. Yo, I'ma need to start skipping episodes cause this is not horror. To Save a Squirrel is more qualified for this list since this one has real creepy elements. SpongeBob and Patrick get stuck in a cave after trying to follow Sandy on one of her expeditions.
Weird. There's a door back here, too?
No, Patrick, no! Sandy, what? Sandy!
In this cave they meet this old man who has been here for 40 years. In a very Ren and Stimpy-esque plot, SpongeBob and Patrick slowly go crazy and try to eat each other.
I'm gonna cook you up and eat ya!
Why do you want to eat me?
I know what you're doing. You're playing dumb, but it won't work because I'm going to eat you before you eat me.
There are some very out there sequences in here. You don't often see stuff like this in kids' cartoons, except for Ren and Stimpy, of course. At the peak of the cannibalism, the old man reveals himself to be Sandy, who has been testing them the whole episode for their survival medals. And then it ends like this.
But I'm still hungry.
Me too.
Guys, what you doing? Fellas?
Eat
or be eaten!
Uh-oh! Next time I'll bring more granola!
Spongehenge is a very infamous Season 5 episode. In this episode we see a storm in Bikini Bottom that leads to wind blowing through SpongeBob's holes. This attracts jellyfish who get in the way of SpongeBob's normal life, forcing him to run away to a cave. Wait a minute. Here he stays for a while and builds giant statues of himself, which lets him escape the jellyfish, since they will be attracted to the statues instead. Unfortunately, he was in the caves for a long while, and when he comes back, he sees this.
Oh! How long was I gone? No!
Well, that's dark. Then the ending has aliens come to Bikini Bottom 3000 years later, where the statues still stand, playing this kind of a haunting melody. This episode is just weird. The best thing to come out of it is Pie Guy Rule's reaction to seeing it in the True for Square video game.
Oh god, no! Destroy them! Destroy them! Patrick, destroy them, please! 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 No! No!
In Season 6 we got Gone, which is kinda creepy as well. SpongeBob wakes up alone in Bikini Bottom and gets hunted by his boat ex or something. This episode is weird. Then Squid's visit has SpongeBob be an actual stalker psychopath, tricking Squidward into going over to his house.
Squidward, I've been expecting you. Welcome to my humble abode. I hope that you will find comfort, and please don't hesitate to ask me if there's anything that I can...
I just want my vacuum back.
Which he has copied to look exactly like Squidward's house. Squidward eventually goes kinda crazy, and we see this.
Yes, I love another spot of tea, Mr. Vacuum Cleaner. Care for some casserole?
Toy Store of Doom has the two be stuck in a toy store at night, but even though I think it's a pretty good one, it's not really scary at all after like the first 2 minutes. While Season 6 didn't really have any real horror episodes, Season 7 has arguably the biggest one of the whole show. Or at least this era, I mean Graveyard Shift clears. Squidward in Clarinet Land starts with Squidward being really happy for a change, since he has a clarinet recital after work. He forces Mr. Krabs to bring out the ancient locker so he can keep his clarinet safe during his workday.
It's me old Navy locker. Goodies new!
Who's that, Mr. Krabs?
That appears to be Corporal Sterling, lad. Forgot all about that prank. Squidward!
Somebody died in here. Squidward eventually goes into the locker after SpongeBob redecorates it, and it's a lot bigger on the inside. Kinda like everything in this show.
Where am I? What is this place? My clarinet! What the?
He ends up in this weird place with a giant eagle head that trash talks him and then eats him. Now Squidward lands in a chair with mirrors of himself on each side. Mirrors are just scary. He starts chasing SpongeBob across a giant clarinet until he ends up in a pinball machine.
I win! Hey, what are you doing here?
You tell me, what in the wide world of sports is this place?
He meets a giant Patrick who tells him that he gotta get out of there because of the pressure. Then the whole ground starts shaking.
The pressure. I gotta get out of here!
Where are you going, you imbecile?
Squidward gets sucked up by a vacuum machine and now they are in space. Squidward finally catches SpongeBob, which opens the locker where we see Squidward sitting looking like this. Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob walk in and we find out that SpongeBob had the clarinet on the outside the whole time. Squidward gets pissed and throws SpongeBob inside the locker and ships it away. Then the episode ends at Squidward's clarinet audition with SpongeBob popping out of Squidward's clarinet case. This episode is pretty solid. It's a nice Alice in Wonderland parody with some actual creepy elements. This episode is also paired with another horror-themed episode. It's not really creepy or scary or anything, but it revolves around ghosts, so it counts. In The Curse of Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob and Patrick goof around with Squidward's lawnmower and ends up disturbing the Flying Dutchman and also running over his head, shaving his beard off. He is understandably kinda mad about that and turns them into ghosts as punishments. They try to haunt Squidward, but that don't work so good, and then they kind of just go through the episode not being able to do stuff, cause they are ghosts. That's about it. And we see the Flying Dutchman's girlfriend at the end. Later in Season 7 we have Legends of Bikini Bottom, which is not an episode but 6 episodes in a miniseries all focused on, well, Legends of Bikini Bottom. It's the first miniseries of the show and while not that good, has multiple episodes with horror themes at least. Ironically, the episode with Monster in the title has nothing to do with like horror. It's just Patrick playing with this big monster for 11 minutes and destroying things. Actually, I just realized that only one of these 6 episodes has kind of anything to do with horror, and even that's a stretch. Curse of the Hex has a witch put a curse on the Krusty Krab, and then there's like a snake thing. Let's just skip over this miniseries. Welk Attack also has monsters, these giant snails that attack Bikini Bottom, and they all get eaten eventually. It's an episode of SpongeBob, at least. Then we got Tunnel of Glove, where SpongeBob and Pearl get stuck on a ride and there's a whole Freddy Fazbear thing. Let's move on to Season 8. Season 8 has Ghoul Fools, a double-length special where a big-ass houseboat crashes in Bikini Bottom.
Come on, don't be such a baby. Wow, so lame.
Turns out it's haunted by a crew of ghost pirates. I kinda wanna make a video about the pirate theme in SpongeBob, but this episode mixes the pirate aesthetic with some horror themes, which makes it really enjoyable actually. Patrick thinks it's a fake haunted house, but he is convinced when the captain, Lord Poltergeist, gives him an anchovy pizza. The rest of his crew shows up, and so does the Krusty Krab crew. They are being annoying, and Krabs, Squid and Pat try to steal Lord Poltergeist's gold, so they are thrown into the void.
Get me out of here!
This is by far my favorite part of the episode because it's just really interesting. In here they are all punished in some way.
So this is Limbo. Well, at least I have a sack full of doubloons to spend eternity with. Uh-oh. Gotta use the can.
Mr. Krabs has a sack of money, but he gotta go to the toilet and pay 1 doubloon. How horrible. Patrick gets a donut on his head that he can't reach. Squidward gets tortured by having to deal with this gigantic SpongeBob monster.
Hi, neighbor.
I guess this is the part where I start screaming.
Looks terrifying. After they are let out, we find out that the chest is actually the Flying Dutchman's treasure. These guys were part of his crew and stole it hundreds of years ago. Unfortunately, he is here now to take it back.
Me booty! What, maybe I misjudged you, fellas. I'm sorry I was so cross with you.
There is a big chase scene, and then the Flying Dutchman transforms into a literal nuke and, well, nukes them. Then we get this card, and we see the Krusty Krab in the void. And then we get this ending. That's kind of out there, even for a SpongeBob ending. In the Krabby Patty that ate Bikini Bottom, Mr. Krabs makes a big-ass Krabby Patty with the help of Sandy. It's not a horror episode really, but the planet of the jellyfish definitely is. This episode starts with SpongeBob and Patrick jellyfishing with this big green jellyfish alien in the background.
Oh, little jellyfish, I can't resist your charms.
We see him legit eat the jellyfish and spit out a copy of it as one of his jellian minions. Next, Patrick gets turned into an alien who catches tons of jellians and tells SpongeBob that they should give one to each of their friends. SpongeBob, of course, thinks it's a great idea, so they go do just that.
Well, we've given everyone a jellyfish except Squidward. He probably doesn't want one.
He will take one and like...
Patrick sticks the last one through Squidward's mailbox, and it quickly makes a Squidward alien as well. SpongeBob goes home with his jellian and is going to sleep, and now we get some creepy stuff.
These late night horror shows are a real hoot. Oh hey, you want some popcorn? Here you go. Hey, hey!
I just hate that mouth, it's so gross. The next day, SpongeBob goes to work, and he is the only one not turned into an alien. Except for this guy, but he gets turned anyway.
I'm sorry, valued customer. We are currently out of the condiment you call mayonnaise. Please accept this free jellyfish hat instead.
The aliens really don't like mayonnaise. SpongeBob goes into the freezer and finds the Jellion Overlord and all his friends' real bodies. He tries to get out of the Krusty Krab as everyone tries to turn him.
Sleep well.
He is chased until he ends up at Sandy's dome. They put on sunglasses to look like the Jellions, and then they end up at the Krusty Krab, where SpongeBob sprays mayonnaise at everyone, vaporizing them and awakening the real bodies again. Then there's a final standoff with the Jellion Overlord, and yeah, that's about it. On to season 9, we got Don't Look Now. In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick go to watch a scary movie and run into Squidward, who is just at the Reef Cinema for some reason.
It's Fisher.
You may speak.
Patrick and I are going to see Fisherman 4.
He tells them that they are not going to be able to sleep after watching the movie, and they immediately prove him right by walking in and getting jump scared by the ticket inspector.
Take your seats.
Seats taken, sir. Ooh, the movie's starting.
Then they get jump scared by the title card and hide, so they miss the entire movie. So they decide to stay and watch it again. I don't think that's allowed.
Must close eyes. Too scary.
I can't hold your eyelids. They're too slippery. No!
They somehow miss the movie once again, but they can't try a third time because the place is closing. Now it's 1 minute to midnight, which is when the Fisherman from the movie comes out, so now they are really scared.
Come on, Patrick, we gotta get home.
They run back to SpongeBob's pineapple, but now Patrick is too scared to walk the 10 steps over to his own house. SpongeBob walks him over, but then fog appears with the figure that looks like the Fisherman, so now they are really scared.
Oh, it's just Slasher McGee. Okay, I guess I'll just go home now. It's right over there.
SpongeBob is too scared to walk back by himself, so Patrick walks with him again. They think they see the Fisherman's ship and start screaming, waking up Squidward.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, hey, Squidward.
What are you blockheads up to? Don't you know it's after midnight? Get down here!
Squidward walks both of them to their houses, and here we get the background image of Conch Street at night that I've been using ever since my first video.
Patrick! Are you okay?
Yeah. Are you okay?
I think so! Good night!
Yeah. Hey, good night. And just don't think about the Fisherman.
SpongeBob decides that instead of going to sleep, he's gonna start stuff again and goes to grab a costume.
This is gonna be good.
Squidward hooks Patrick by the nose, and he gets dragged after him until Patrick runs into SpongeBob's house.
SpongeBob! SpongeBob, wake up! He's here!
They barricade the house, but Squidward comes in through the window. Squidward accidentally reveals himself. SpongeBob and Patrick aren't really the smartest though, so they think the Fisherman is eating Squidward, so they hospitalize him.
We'll get you out of there, old monster! Let's escape through the window!
And that's the episode. The other episode in the pairing, Seans Schmeans, however you pronounce this, has like ghosts and stuff, but they're just kind of there. Season 10 has no horror themed episodes, but Season 11 has a whole special. The Legend of Bikini Bottom is a stop motion Halloween episode. Spongebob, true to his first Halloween episode, is scared of everything. Patrick helps him to try and find everything funny instead of scary, which pisses off the Dutchman. He kidnaps Spongebob and Patrick and put them on a horror ride. I mean, it's not really horror, it's just like a spooky little ride. If anything, the episode is a lot cuter than scary. But there is other more horror focused episodes in this season. We got Krabby Patty Creature Feature, which is another zombie episode. Mr. Krabs take the help of Sandy to develop a burger that's gonna attract, like, I don't know, millennials, I guess? Kinda late on that one. The burgers turn them into these Krabby Patty monsters. When I said this was a zombie episode, I was not exaggerating. They wanna eat people. Or actually, they don't, they just wanna feed people Krabby Patties to turn all of them. It goes through the standard zombie plot with everyone getting infected one by one until it's just Plankton and Spongebob left hiding out in the chum bucket.
Consume me.
No! Hey!
After the Patty monsters break in, Plankton turns as well, and the conclusion has SpongeBob defeat the monsters by using chum.
And 3, 2.
Cuddle E Hugs is one of the most interesting episodes of the whole show. SpongeBob finds a really old Krabby Patty and eats it, causing him to hallucinate a giant hamster called Cuddle E Hugs.
You can call me Cuddle E Hugs.
New best friend. I like the sound of that.
Then bring it in for the real deal.
This guy is really nice and plays with SpongeBob, but throughout the whole episode there is this weird feeling from him.
Yeah.
Oh, hey Gary. Say hello to my new best friend, Cuddle E Hugs.
A pleasure.
Like, he laughs and SpongeBob has fun with him, but it's still really unsettling. Cuddle E Hugs tells SpongeBob to feed everyone these gross patties so everyone can see him, and then this happens.
No, Cuddle E Hugs, no!
Yes, SpongeBob SquarePants, yes!
This is easily one of the most creepy scenes in the show, and I really like it. It's disturbing just in the right way.
I thought we were friends!
Oh, and the episode ends with everyone waking up after the effect of the rotten burger have disappeared.
Crazy time last night, right, bro?
Don't bro me, Cuddle E Hugs!
Ink Lemonade. The less said about the main plot the better, but there is this scene where Patrick creates a haunted house to scare Squidward. Plankton Paranoia is probably one of my favorite episodes from season 11, just for the themes in it.
These customers are blocking the way!
Plankton has not tried to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula in a while, which makes Krabs extremely paranoid.
Oh, maybe he doesn't want me formula anymore.
It just gets worse and worse and leads to him kicking people out and looking down the Krusty Krab.
Doggone it! Can I get some ketchup over here?
Krabs stays there all night, and when SpongeBob and Squidward return in the morning, Mr. Krabs has painted himself in camouflage and is kind of losing it.
Mr. Krabs, I don't think Plankton's coming.
Nonsense! See? It's that stinker Plankton now! What do you want?
He throws everyone out, including his own employees, and then we get the best scene of the episode with the whole Krusty Krab literally in lockdown.
I know you're in here, Plankton. Where you hiding?
I'm right here. At the chug bucket. Come on down.
Krabs start seeing Plankton everywhere, and eventually Plankton demons that start chasing him. These are some great designs and some actually kinda scary visuals. The ending of the episode really sucks, but I very much enjoy the psychological horror elements in the episode. The Night Patty sees the return of the night shift from graveyard shift.
See?
Huh? Mr. Krabs never mentioned we had a night shift.
Hi, guys!
You sure are popular.
I come here every night.
This episode is sadly not even close to as good as that one, but it also has the return of Nosferatu.
Nosferatu?
We'll see more of that soon. This episode has some cool character designs and creepy imagery, but just watch Graveyard Shift instead. It has that and it's also funny. Season 12 has The Ghost of Plankton, where Plankton literally dies.
Look like I just saw a ghost.
He becomes a ghost and is trained by the Flying Dutchman on how to scare people.
This is how you scare someone.
There are some good scenes of him like scaring Squidward, but once again, not much horror, just kind of good visuals. A cabin in the kelp. Sandy, Karen, Mrs. Puff and Pearl are going on a girls' trip into the woods, and of course SpongeBob is here as well. This episode is just super boring. Moving on to season 13, there are a couple of episodes that have horror elements. Say Aw has Plankton build a little bird robot that turns into a giant monster when people say Aw. This episode is cool. It's just the monster eating people and then them escaping together, but it's enjoyable. Then we got Seaman Sponge Haters Club. I don't feel like going over this episode again, I've already trashed on it in 2 different videos, but the horror part comes in what a terrifying view of SpongeBob these guys have.
Almost anyone.
Nice license. Can I touch it?
Gross!
It's not even horror, it's just him being very creepy. Something that has to be classified as horror though is Squidferatu.
Mailman!
Nosferatu is back again, and it's certainly an episode. One of the SpongeBob episodes I've seen, for sure.
A letter. Thank you. Nosferatu? Huh? What?
Squidward and Spongebob travel to Nosferatu's castle to deliver a letter, since Squidward is always getting Nosferatu's mail. They travel to Transylvania, and it's actually really atmospheric.
Don't go to the castle! Don't go to the castle! Don't!
They make it to the castle, and we meet Nosferatu again. We also meet Slappy, who has shown up in the show before, for some reason, and he is Nosferatu's assistant. They go to eat dinner, and some creepy stuff ensue.
Nosferatu, catch up.
Then they go to bed, but SpongeBob keeps leaving cause he forgot to do stuff. And whenever SpongeBob leaves, Nosferatu comes to eat Squidward, but whenever SpongeBob returns, Nosferatu disappears.
Forgot to wash my head.
It's actually creepy, but mostly just due to Nosferatu's design being like naturally scary.
Will you go night-night time already?
Nosferatu?
Why are you sticking out of the wall like that?
They try to escape, but are stopped by Slappy. Squidward pepper sprays him. Next, they open some creepy doors.
Let's try these doors.
They escape to Nosferatu's coffee room, and Nosferatu appears next to them. They do some attempts at jokes, and then end with a callback to Graveyard Shift.
Well, if you're not flicking the lights on and off, then who is? Phantom of the Opera!
Once again, just watch Graveyard Shift. The other episode in this pairing is called Slappy Days, and it's just about Slappy going around town.
To go on a picnic with old friends. Oh, Mr. Ribeye, do you have the time? Oh.
There's like a spider in it, and Nosferatu gets some more screen time. Moving on.
Huh? I am soaring like a bat! Soaring! Oh.
Then finally we got the latest SpongeBob episode to date. Nom Nom Nomicon. I just realized it's not gonna be the latest episode when this video comes out, but as I'm recording this, it is, so.
Of course.
SpongeBob is a dumbass, and due to a mix-up, the Krusty Krab has a spellbook instead of a cookbook, and madness happens.
The cookbook is using tasty breakfast treats to create a monster!
Then there is an entire different thing, where the internet went kinda crazy with SpongeBob and horror, and that's something I wanna talk about as well, but that's gonna be in part 2.